Sacramento Regional County Sanitation Department to order. Would you join me in the pledge to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, directors.
Did I usurp your part?
I'm going to call roll now. Ashby, Miller, Frost, here. Guerra, Harris, Hume, Kennedy, Lee,
Here.
Morin,
Here.
Nottoli,
Here.
Orozco,
She's walking to the door.
Peters,
Here.
Serna,
Here.
McGarvey,
Here.
Villegas,
Here.
Warren, and Carr.
Here.
And you have a quorum. This meeting of the Sacramento Regional County Sanitation and Sacramento Area Sewer Districts is being broadcast live on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel on the Comcast, Consolidated Communications, and AT&T Uverse cable systems. The meeting is closed caption for our hearing impaired viewers and webcast at www.sacmetrocable.tv. Today's meeting will replay Sunday, June 11th at 6 p.m. on Channel 14. In accordance with Government Code 54952.3, compensation for a meeting of these legislative bodies is required to be verbally disclosed. The amount of $100 will be paid for each member participating today as a member of the Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District, and the amount of $100 will be paid for each board member participating today as a member of the Sacramento Area Sewer District. Compensation for Sacramento County Supervisors and City of Sacramento Council members is paid to the county and city respectively to partially offset the cost of those governments. Compensation for all other board members is delivered to the individuals. Members of the audience wishing to address the board should fill out a speaker identification form located at the back of chambers and hand it to the clerk. Please speak into the microphone when addressing the board and state your name for the record. Please silence your electronic devices at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you call the first item?
Okay. Acting as Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District, your district consent matters are items 1 and 2.
Any questions, comments on the consent calendar?
I'll move consent.
Motion from Director Nottoli. Who's that?
No, Director Morin.
Sorry?
Director Morin.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Abstentions? Consent calendar is approved unanimously. Is there anyone here from the public wishing to comment on items not on the agenda? Seeing none, would you call the next item number 4?
Yes, item number 4, acting as Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District. Item number 4 is receive the 2017 update of the long-term financial plan and approve the capital funding projection for Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District for fiscal year 2017-18 through 2026-27.
Good morning. My name is Joe Mastretti. I'm the Chief Financial Officer for the districts, and this morning we have a update on the long-term financial plan for the Regional Sand District. Today we want to go over some of the highlights of the plan, some of the critical issues that affect our financial condition, the capital funding program, and some of the metrics of the forecast results, and then we'll go into the debt management plan a little bit. The highlights will start off with the financial condition is healthy and improving. We're maintaining our credit ratings without any trouble. We have $1.39 billion worth of state revolving fund loans to finance the Echo Water project that are now locked in at 1.6 or 1.7%, depending on the loan component. The rates will increase, but the level of the rate increases are reduced compared to the previous projections that we made, and the debt restructuring continues to reduce costs of the existing debt. We're also able to pay off some of our old debt early, reducing the total cost of our portfolio. The critical issues are the same ones that we've been looking at for a long time. The Echo Water project obviously is the biggest financial obligation we've had recently. There's still a couple of unknowns out there. Basically, the largest component, one of the largest components, the tertiary treatment facilities, will be put out to bid and awarded later on the next fiscal year. And in a year or two, we'll start getting a little better understanding of what the operating costs are going to be for that. So those are some of the critical issues that we're looking at for the Echo Water project. Regulatory requirement changes are always something that we have to deal with. Legal challenges related to that are an ever-present danger in our business. Investment market changes are something that we look at because it can have an impact on our finances, both positive or negative, depending on which way the rates go. Water recycling is getting to be a bigger issue for us to consider. Natural disasters and other emergencies are something that we plan for and maintain large reserves to mitigate the. And finally, aging infrastructure is one of our big issues that we constantly evaluate and plan for. And the capital program over the next 10 years estimated to be about $1.7 billion. About 70% of that is the Echo Water project. It also includes $227 million for the capital maintenance and rehabilitation of our existing assets. We're able to do that without any new debt because we're spreading it out over the 10-year period. It also includes $181 million for water recycling projects, most of that in the latter part of the 10-year period. Some of the larger projects that are coming up in the next couple of years, the South River Pump Station flood protection project, which you're mostly familiar with, digester rehabilitation projects, and the land disposal units expansion there. Some of the forecast results, rates are going to increase incrementally. The increments are getting smaller, fortunately, and they should top out at no more than $39 per month. We should be able to maintain, a flat level for quite a few years after that, if we can maintain our debt service level lower. The debt coverage ratios remain well above the minimums required by our bond covenants, and we're able to maintain cash reserves above $300 million, and approximately $348 million of the higher cost debt can be paid off early. There's a little detail on the Echo Water project debt issuance plan. And as you can see, we've locked in the estimated cost percentages for each of the loan components now. The loan amounts continue to be adjusted. They could be adjusted down a little bit. These are the maximum amounts. The main electric substation improvement, the number 3 project, just received the final completion notice this week. And it ended up about $500,000 less than the $3.4 million. So we start off with a pretty good thing there for that one. And here's a schedule of an early debt retirement plan. The very first item has already been completed. Approximately a year ago, we paid off the 2013A bonds. And then we have a couple others that could potentially be done the next fiscal year. This is just kind of a preliminary plan. The actual retirements could look a little bit different depending on the market and our cash available. If we did the debt restructuring as it was listed on the last slide, we'd end up with a debt service profile that would look like the chart there on the left, with lots of peaks and valleys in it. A more ideal debt service profile would be something like on the right side, and we could obtain that with a restructuring of our old debt, which we will be looking at a little bit more in the next few years. This could help us keep our rates lower for longer. And some of the potential action items that we have for the next fiscal year, we have one of our direct purchase agreements for one of our variable rate debt issues that will expire in July of 2018. So within the next year, we'll renegotiate with Wells Fargo Bank on that. And depending on the outcome of that negotiations, we'll have a decision to make. We could pay off the remaining part of the Series 2006 bonds. These bonds are already callable, so we're just waiting for a good opportunity. And then we've lined up the 2013 C bonds as another $50 million series of our variable rate debt. We're waiting for the swap to expire in December. That would make that a little bit more feasible. And so we're recommending that your board receive and file the long-term financial plan and approve the capital funding projection. And we'd like to answer any questions at this time.
Any directors with questions? Yes, Director Frost.
On the one where the swap is going to expire in 2018, is that the last of the variable rate, or is all of your bond debt variable rate?
No.
Swaps?
A little bit less than half of our bond debt is in a variable rate mode. All of it is hedged with swaps. Some of it is perfectly hedged with swaps that are long dated, so we can't get out of them too easily. But some of them, the swaps expire in 2017, $150 million worth of the variable rate debt. Swaps related to that debt expire on December 1st of 2017. And that will give us some flexibility at that point to either terminate the debt that's related, or we could leave it outstanding. If it doesn't cost us very much, we can use our own cash to hedge that debt. So then we have another $100 million worth of variable rate debt, our 2000 C bonds, that's outstanding to 2030. We may have an opportunity to buy back that swap at a reasonable rate, and if interest rates creep up a little bit more. So there's many variables in the market that we take a look at and constantly monitor along with our investment advisors.
Do you think it's better, I mean, anticipating that inflation's going to kick in, I don't know what's better. Is it better to go with the variable rate because it's probably lower now and pay the swap, or is it better just to get into a fixed rate and pay it out?
I think it's better to have certainty, and that's why fixed rates.
Either way, you have some certainty, right?
Right. With the swap, you tend to make a synthetic fixed rate out of it, but the swaps are very inflexible. So you don't get a chance to renegotiate them as often as you would a fixed rate debt.
Okay.
You can restructure the fixed rate debt.
It's a minimum contract on the swap, on the
ones
swap.
that we have, yeah. So you could buy short-dated swaps, but then you would just continually have to buy them, and you would have uncertainty as to what the rates are going to be.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Director Harris.
Thank you, Director Carr. Joe, who wrote the report, the financial report?
I did.
Well, I just wanted to compliment you because I think the layout and clarity are really good. I actually enjoyed reading it. And that's pretty rare with financial reports. I think you did a great job. Just wanted to
Thank
say.
you. I use it to punish my kids. If they're not being good, I make them read it.
Read aloud.
Okay, we have a comment from Staff Table 3.
Oh, yeah, it's me. Staff Table 3. To a little bit discussion on Director Frost's question. We have, at the end of this SRF loan, close to $2.7 billion loan, total debt. Of that, roughly $650 million is a variable. Everything else is fixed. And we have changed our posture from going to variable to fixed a few years ago. So our preferred way of doing it, if any future debt, is a fixed rate debt. We don't plan on issuing variable rate debt unless there's an absolute reason to go that direction. Our normal mode of operation is to go to the fixed side. And as you've seen in the financial plan, we don't anticipate issuing debt in the next 10 years. Unless regulatory conditions change and require us to do some major things to the treatment plant, we don't plan on issuing debt.
We may issue some debt to restructure our existing debt, but we won't need it for new project.
That's right.
That's good. Thank you.
Okay, any further questions? One question for you, Joe. What is our credit rating?
We have a AA credit ratings with all 3 credit agencies, which is not the highest rating, but it's a very high quality rating.
It is. Okay.
And our debt is sought after a lot. When we went, if you saw in the earlier slides, is when we went to the market for the Echo Water project, we ended up paying 4.4%. At the same time, we refinanced another $250 million of existing debt. For $350 million, we had $1.8 billion worth of subscription. So there's very well sought after. Our ratings are good. People want to invest in our debt. Again, like Joe said, we'll be going to the market only to reduce our long-term debt service, not for adding any new debt.
Yeah, it's hard to get over that when you have a single source of revenue, most of your money coming from ratepayers. Okay, any other questions? Oh, wait, we'll receive it.
We need an action to approve the capital funding projection. Again, this is a projection. You're not committing funds to any of these projects. When we're ready to do the projects, you'll have an opportunity to take an action on those projects at the time. You're just simply approving a projection.
Mr. McGarvey.
Yeah, your PowerPoint and the potential debt restructuring, I like the way it's laid out on that. I want to use that at the report to the City Council, and because it shows that straight across, I think that makes it a lot easier for people to understand that. So I just wanted to make sure I understood that. And you're showing estimated as of June 22nd, 2016, so that's straight across the board for that number of years. And I think that'll make people feel a lot more comfortable. They're not going to have to worry about it going up next year and going up the year after that and going up the year after that. So this way we can show them on the screen. This is exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, definitely that's something we're going to be looking at the next few years to accomplish that.
Yeah. Okay, that, and we'll be able to do that with some of our bonds also. And so it's much more comfortable for a lot of people when they see that it's, well, I'm not going to have to worry about changing my monthly payment next year and the year after, So, okay, thank you.
Any further questions? Thank you very much. We've received the report.
Again, we need an action for the capital funding projection approval, so Director Harris moved for approval.
Move approval.
This is just to receive.
No, it says receive and then approve the capital funding projection.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously.
Can I,
Next
who was
item.
the second?
Right here.
No.
Thank you.
Before we call the next item, I'd like to thank the members who participated on the subcommittee. Directors Bruin, Frost, Harris, Hume, and Serna had a really robust discussion. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I just wanted to update the entire board of the initial discussions we had at the subcommittee level, and just to point out what the next steps are. At the first meeting, we talked about what the source of revenues are and what we're projecting in terms of the non-rate, non-fee revenues for the district. We're projecting it to be between $5 and $6 million over the next 3 to 4 years. And our current expenditures are somewhere close to $2 million, which leaves us about $3 to $4 million of revenue to be allocated for other uses. And we've looked at different uses, one of which is potentially increasing the incentive to the low-income folks. Today we do $150 a year. Potentially taking it up, that amounts to about 37% of the regional SAN rate, potentially taking it up to 50% or a longer period and kind of pegging it. That's one option, one possibility. The other possibility in the sewer assistance program we talked about is there are a number of nonprofits that take care of homeless and the shelters and the likes. potentially giving some reductions into the sewer charges that those entities are incurring today. That's an area that we discussed. And then we also talked about the economic development. Most of your board members know that we had a industrial incentive program for a long time, and that is coming to an end. So the idea is to create a fund, and also we currently have the economic development bank credits that most of them are going down, and that program will sunset at the end of 2020. The plan is to allocate some dollars, essentially distribute to the member agencies for them to use to attract industrial and commercial customers to the region. So that's one area that we're looking at, making some allocations. And also environment, which is closer to our nexus in terms of our mission. The mitigation projects, one possibility is as communities or the individual septic tanks become failing, the regional SAN would put some funding to support bringing additional communities into the system, as well as failing septic tanks. And also allocating funding for the water quality in the rivers, river cleanup, where today there's a lot of impact to the river from the activities that are happening. So there's potentially funding. If you remember that we did a one-time small amount of funding for the Yolo County to clean up the boats that are sunk as they're polluting these rivers. And likewise, on an ongoing basis, remove the human waste, the trash, and things that are getting into the rivers in certain areas of our watersheds. So allocating some money for that. Those are the kinds of things that we talked under the environmental side of things. And then there's also public outreach, meaning reaching out to the schools to make sure that they're aware of what the regional SAN and the Sacramento Sewer District do, and talking to them about the water cycles, as well as trades where that we want to look for them to be able to supply our future employees and those kinds of programs. So there's various kinds of programs that we talked about, and essentially what they would happen is under different buckets, and we'll come back and say each bucket has a certain amount of money that we can allocate. So the next steps is for us to draft make changes to the existing policy, identify what the areas of the funding is and how the funding is going to be allocated. I mean, I think closer to how we prioritize the projects, meaning they're closer to the nexus of the district, and leveraging opportunities. When we put some money, there's additional money that's available out there. So there's ways, how do you prioritize? So all those things captured into the policy and bring back to the subcommittee. We got a meeting scheduled at the end of June to come back and get the feedback from the subcommittee. And we already received some suggestions from Director Carr and other members. If you have any suggestions before we bring that, you're welcome. Please send them to me. So that's essentially what the next steps are. And then again, once that meeting is done, we'll bring back to the full board in terms of those discussions. Ultimately, the full board is going to be taking action on approving the policy and the funding priorities and whatnot.
Director Serna?
Thank you. First, I want to express my thanks to Prabhakar and Lisa and other staff that have been willing to help enlighten the committee on kind of what the menu of options is here for non-rate, non-fee revenue appropriation to obviously advance the mission of the district. But I think equally important, and it really was the inspiration for the work of this committee thus far, was finding those areas where, you mentioned it briefly, where we can partner with other member jurisdictions and leverage resources to fulfill common missions. And the one that is, I think, most obvious is the fact that the County of Sacramento continues to be the steward of the parkway. It's our responsibility to keep it clean and safe for our constituents, and that's what really, again, inspired the whole concept of exploring this. You mentioned, Prabhakar, that the committee is going to meet next at the end of June. By that time, most of our respective budgets should have been deliberated and approved, recommended budgets. And I think that will be telling in terms of where your member jurisdictions are prioritizing scarce resources for some of these campaigns to, for instance, clean up the parkway. So I think at that point we'll have better information, more solid information to have an even more robust discussion about how to leverage. And I would encourage you and your staff to keep your ear to the rail in terms of what we're doing in the various cities at the county as we progress pretty quickly here. For instance, the county is going to be considering its budget next week. So I think it's a great opportunity to continue to keep your thumb on the pulse of how best to assemble funding from various sources. We're doing that at the county, and I think that the district has a strong part to play, at least when it comes to trying to maximize the ecological, environmental quality of our parkways and our rivers.
Definitely, we'll do that.
Thanks.
Ms. Peters?
Thank you. Prabhakar, I wasn't clear on reading this, whether, is this revenue that's been collected over some period of time, or is that just for this year?
It's annually about $5 to $6 million is what we're projecting.
Okay, so
and we also
going forward,
that's what
going forward, then it will be this much every year, or
that's correct.
Some large number like
5
this?
to 6 million is what we project over every year for the next 3 to 4 years. Again, if the interest rates go up, so majority of the revenue comes from interest, and our sales to gas sales to SMUD, commodity sales, and the leases and the kinds of those. Mm-hmm. So if the interest rates go up, then we would benefit from additional revenue coming into that pot. We also have approximately $10 million in reserves that are set aside for this type of activities. We're not, I mean, reserves can play in terms of how we can handle kind of peaks and valleys kind of thing. But at this point, we're looking at, on an ongoing basis, what the allocations need to be, and reserves as a backstop.
Then is it policy of the board has approved in the past that these are the kind of expenditures rather than paying down bonds?
So bond debt we plan to pay down. This is essentially balanced. So we're roughly, what you saw was we're going to be paying down roughly $300 million.
I saw that, but here's another $6 million we could be, over a period of several years that could make a difference in rates to our customers.
If you completely took away that $6 million and went to the other side, yes, there's a possibility we can. Again, it's not always opportunity to pay down. We got to look at that. And you're right. If you decide to not allocate to these expenditures and move everything over to the other side, yes, or some portion of it, that's a possibility.
Okay. Well, then when you bring this back at some point in time, I would like to see how much difference that would make in rates. I realize where there's such a large customer base that in reality $20 million may not be enough to really affect the rates, but I'd like to have a couple of examples of that in addition to this, just so we know.
Just a rule of thumb, $1 generates about $7.5 million revenue a year. That's $1.
Also, it generally speaking,
yeah.
1 year's revenue, if it's in the $6 or $7 million range, would buy the rate down by $1.
So yeah.
So over.
So every year,
3 or
if you
4
reduce
years,
expenditure by
it could be $4 or $5.
So if you reduce your expenditure by $7.5 million, every year we can do away with $1 less. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, that's good to know. Thank you.
Mr. Nottoli.
Yeah, thank you. Just a follow-on to one of the sources, and I know we've got an item coming up next relates to the Nicholas Ranch and Sims Ranch. The solar lease out to buffer lands, is that something that goes in this pot, or will that be connected to actually to the buffer lands and to the Sims Nicholas Ranch, or have that determination been made yet?
Yeah, we have not included any of that in this. So the way that, for the rest of the board members who may not be totally aware, we're developing a solar project at the treatment plant, which allows us to reduce our energy expenses by getting solar from energy from the solar project. We estimate that to be over 25 years about $5 million in terms of the reduction in costs. So at the time, the thinking is that those are the monies that are available for bufferlands improvements, the projects to be done, because it's generated based on the bufferlands.
Okay, so you'd bring that as a separate matter?
That's right, as a separate matter to the board.
Okay, and what would be the timing on seeing something along those lines?
We're doing, the project is under construction.
Okay.
So I would imagine probably late this year, early next year, in some time frame.
Okay, because for the current purposes of the improvements that's on today's agenda, you're using some of this non-fee, non-rate.
That's right. The
revenue.
money is there.
But you could dedicate the solar source, so then that particular element wouldn't necessarily have to compete then for this other pot of money, right?
Yeah, the current project, which you'll be hearing right after this, is the money is there.
Right.
So we're not relying on the future solar project.
But going forward for support, because again, as you build,
that's right,
there are further improvements, and you're going to build the educational component up with the arrangement with the Elk Grove district and maybe with other districts as well. So you could use the solar. Because you have a connection, obviously, to the lands, but to the geographical area. To
or the non-rate, non-fee revenue, either.
Yeah, you can still use that as well. But okay, all right, thank you.
Any further questions? I'd like the board to know I had a conversation with Pre-Barker yesterday based on a site visit I had on assuming we keep the sewer lifeline rate and all those other investments. In this particular housing complex, the apartment complex, all the residents are either poor or very poor. Yet they can't take advantage of our sewer lifeline rate because the rate is, the bill is sent to the owner. And the owner doesn't qualify because he's a billionaire. But the residents just get one bill that says, here's what you pay for rent, and here's what you pay for utilities. It's all lumped together, and here's what you pay. So the neediest people in our community aren't able to access the lifeline rates. So Pre-Buck is going to think about this, and I'm going to talk with the people who accumulate these bills to see if they can itemize them. And if they can itemize them, then each individual will be able to come and try to take advantage of the lifeline rate. But that partially explains why the question I keep asking Pre-Buck, if we have 100,000 people at SMUD signed up, why don't we have only 18,000 people for the sewer lifeline rate? And that's the issue there. Being in the apartment complexes, the bills are being total and presented to the customers as one. So we'll try to figure out how to fix that. Any further questions? Seeing none, could we call the next item?
Acting as Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District, item number 6 is adopt the negative declaration for Sims Ranch and Nicholas Dairy and authorize the district engineer to execute construction contracts.
Christoph is away, so I'm going to briefly highlight what we're asking your board to do for this item. And then I have Jason Lofton, who's the engineer managing this project, here to answer questions. As Director Nottoli was alluding in the previous discussion, we have 2 historic properties at the treatment plant that we are going to stabilize them. There are essentially structurally in areas that needed stabilization, and also put them to use for educational purposes. And so we've used a consultant that's more versed in looking at the condition assessments and suggesting improvements for historic properties so that we can maintain that historic nature of these 2 structures. So the consultant prepared the report and identified all the changes, the improvements that needed to be made to these 2 facilities. So we've gone out and worked with the Guerra. There's a negative neg deg that's being asked for your board to recognize and approve, and also the mitigation monitoring reporting program. One of the unique things we're going to do with this project is we're finding out these improvements are a cost, but trying to get a designer to design these things, as well as construction management, that's eating away a lot of the money. And we're going to try to do this slightly differently than we normally do a project. That is, normally we develop plans and specifications, your board approves, we go to bid and come back. again, the improvements that are needed are with different skill sets, not everything under one roof, which means you have to pay the general contractor, the subs, and all of that. So the way we're going to do, at least we're proposing to do this project, is that I'm asking for your board to give me an authorization to up to a limit. We're going to talk about the limit, how the limits are here. And then wherein I can go in and hire different contractors. Some contractors don't need any additional detail because the details are already in there in the document. Where other contracts, for example, structural, we need to develop some more details to help them do the work that we ask them to do. So it gives me a better flexibility to chunk this project out into smaller groups where it makes better sense economically and also the way that expediency, so that I can implement this. Otherwise, I'd have to, every time I issue a set of plans, I have to come back and have your board approve, and then it takes time to go out to bid, and there's a front-end cost and whatnot. So I'm asking you to approve essentially the negative declaration, and then adopt the monitoring and mitigation program, reporting program, and give me the authorization up to $1.35 million to make improvements that are identified in the consultant's report for these two properties. So there's about $250,000 in that 1.35 is towards the design consultants and whatnot. At this point, I don't think we would need all of that money. As we go in and targeted-wise hire the people, for example, if we need HVAC consultant, we're going to hire a small contractor to help us with HVAC design, structures, as opposed to one big firm. I think we can save some money there, but this is the peak. Your board has set aside $1 million. Again, this is the revenue that's generated from bufferlands activities a year ago, set aside for improvements to this project. Director Nottoli has pledged $100,000 from funding that's available to him. And so there's a shortfall of $250,000 if we spend all the way up to the 1.35, and we have that revenue in the form of non-rate, non-fee revenue for this year, so we can actually move that money to it. So that's a request that I have for your board.
Do we have any questions, comments? Is there a motion?
I'd move the item.
Second.
Item's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Abstentions? The item passes unanimously. Would you call item 7? And before we do, only county supervisors will be voting on this issue.
Yes, so acting as the Sacramento County Board of Supervisors, item number 7 is authorization to appoint David O'Toole as the Director of Internal Service Department in the Sanitation District's agency effective June 11, 2017.
We have our internal services director retired. She was here, Karen Stoyanowski, and we went out and did the search, and we're happy to report that David O'Toole is a very qualified individual who worked for the state, currently working for the state with a great experience that matches our needs. So that's who I'm recommending that your board authorize the county executive to appoint. If you have, David O'Toole is here if you have any questions for him, but if not, I would request that you take the action to authorize the county executive to
Before we take the motion, Mr. Harris, you have a comment?
Thank you, Chair. So I obviously will not be voting on this, but I just want to disclose to you that I've known Dave O'Toole for quite a few years. We sat on the River Park Neighborhood Association and also the City of Sacramento Parks Commission together. And I know him to be a man of great intellect and integrity. I think this is a fantastic hire for Regional San, and I hope our Board of Supervisors feel the same way.
Did David write that for you?
I was ready to move it. I was ready to move it until that.
Is he here today?
Yes.
He's here.
He's here, yeah.
I move staff recommendation.
It'd be good to stand up so we could see you, at least.
I move staff recommendation.
Second.
Thank you.
There's a motion and a second. County supervisors, please vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Any
Thank you.
objections? Abstentions? Motion carries
David,
unanimously.
you want to say anything, please?
I guess first off, I just want to say thank you for your support. It was definitely a very exhaustive process to go through, and so I feel happy to be and honored to be selected, and I look forward to getting to work on Monday.
Great. Thank you. Welcome aboard.
Congratulations, David.
Thank you.
Item number 8 is miscellaneous director and district engineer matters.
A couple of quick items. The first is we do not have a second meeting in June because of the summer recess. We will also not have the first meeting in July. That would be the July 12th meeting. We won't have. We know for sure we will have the meeting on July 26th. And then we'll decide on the August meetings in terms of what the needs are. So the second one that I wanted to point to you, if you're wondering why you have a coffee mug sitting in front of you, late last year, both districts, believe it or not, for the first time, have developed values for the districts, which I don't know why it took that long, but it's never late.
So you have an appreciation for coffee? That's one of the values?
That's right. Which is what the point that I heard from Director Serna this morning.
Appreciation for caffeine.
Yeah.
So what our values are the responsibility, resolve, proficiency, and environmental stewardship. The values were developed from ground up. There were 50 to 60 different folks from different parts of the organization got together and suggested and finally came to these 4 values. And we're trying to drive these values into the organization in our decision making so that we're making consistent decisions and also closer to our mission. So responsibility means we're responsible for our own behavior, accountable to others, committed to safety, and resolve means determination, diligence, and adaptability. And proficiency is that we'll have skilled staff, capable teams, and conscious effort. And environmental stewardship, which is our main business, the reason why we're in business, is essentially making sure that we make our decisions that are consistent with our stewardship values, green business decisions, sustainability practices, and education outreach. So we've distributed these mugs to our staff as essentially just to keep reminding them. And also cards like these that are for them to keep, and also smaller things in our conference rooms and places. Often when I go to different places, I see values, but there are too many of them. There are 7, 8, 10, and I ask the folks, so do you remember your values? What do they mean to you? Are you embedding in your organizational decisions? So all those questions were thought of when we developed them. We wanted a few. We wanted something that we can remember. We wanted something that to be more impactful. We're driving those into the organization, and it'll take some time for these to take hold. And they become, the ultimate goal is for these values to be embedded in our subconscious, where we don't have to think about them when we make decisions. We automatically, our decisions are consistent with them. So that's a goal. And I wanted to pass one to each of you to see what we're doing. Any questions, comments, thoughts?
Mr. Nottoli?
Yeah, again, certainly compliments to Prabhakar and leadership team. I think it's important, and hopefully folks come to the district with the values instilled in them, but I think reminding folks of in their day-to-day work and day-to-day lives is important, I think, to continue to reestablish that. I wanted to ask a question, though, on another matter, and that relates to the pending record of decision as it relates to the biological opinions and the California water fix, and whether, I know our staff's been tracking that, but I would ask certainly our legal staff, because again, depending upon where that goes over the next few months, I think it's clear that there continues to be a very strong drive by the water contractors and the administration, including our governor, to get to a point to permit that project. I don't think any final decisions have been made, but I think it's important for this district because, again, if that were to come to pass, we certainly register our concerns over time as it relates to the inlets for the intake would be just immediately south of where our discharge point is, and I think that, the impacts to this district long-term could be significant as it relates to that project. Again, we've looked at that from a technical standpoint, but I do think that in preparation for what may come next, that I would hope that our district staffs or the UPRBAC, I know you've been tracking this with others, but Lisa, that we'd be prepared to come to this board if necessary and suggest, what action we might or might not take as it relates to district matters, as it relates to that California water fix and its impacts on our district ratepayers and certainly the customers that we serve, whether they be individuals or companies or firms. And I think projects that we have in the plan and in the works as it relates to the South County recycling project and how that might be impacted over time because of demands on water that are already there. But then if people get reassignment of where they take those waters from, it certainly can impact us on day-to-day operations. But I think long-term could impact the ability for this district to continue to move forward on projects that benefit the people of our district and our region. So again, I put that out there because I know. We're seeing more in the newspaper, and we're approaching a time when there's going to be, I think, some decisions made by others that will affect decisions that we may or may not make at this district. So I just offer that. I know my colleagues have certainly been tracking this, but I want to put the warning.
Yeah, so just on that is that the state board has been holding hearings on the water fix. There are 2 phases, and Regional San is one of the protestants on the water fix. We have protested on the basis of water quality. So I actually did a deposition in the first phase, and I would expect to be called again for the second one. Our position is that those facilities should not have a negative impact on Regional San's ability to continue to exist in terms of doing its business. We think there are impacts, and the state has not studied them sufficiently for us to have assurance that there won't be impacts, even though they say that to us when we meet with them. But there's no evidence sufficiently to prove that it is the case. So that's why we have protested, and we continue to protest on that issue. And we'll see where that goes.
Okay, thanks. Thank you,
okay. Well, thank you for the mugs. We think the values are right on. I really like the explicit instructions on drink.
That sticker comes off. You don't need to keep it on all the time.
Yeah.
Just one other thing about these are stainless steel, which is really good because I have a 2-year-old grandchild in my house sometimes, and that these things can go flying, And as long as it's not glass, I'm in good shape. So.
Next item.
Okay. Acting as Sacramento Area Sewer District, item number 9 is your district consent matter.
Is there a motion on the consent item?
I'd like to speak to that. Yeah,
Yes.
thank you. When I looked at the map over the weekend, I just noted the streets in my district, but now I see that there's some in the Rancho Cordova area, and I can't tell how close they are to a potential conflict of interest, so I'm going to abstain, recuse myself from this item, just abundance of caution.
Okay.
Please make it known in the record. Thank you.
Any further comments, questions?
Move the item.
We have a motion. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no.
Okay.
Abstentions?
All right, motion passes
Rick
with
Peters-
Susan
Rick Peters
Peters
abstaining.
recusing. Yes. Okay. Your last item is acting as Sacramento Area Sewer District is resolution of intention to lien delinquent sewer charges. Set public hearing for July 26, 2017.
Good morning again. My name is Joe Mastredi, and now I'm acting as the Chief Financial Officer of the Sacramento Area Sewer District. And just for a moment, I'd like to direct your attention to the attachment that's with this board item. And as you can see, the chart on the right side shows the number of delinquent accounts that were noticed on April 22nd by Cubs, that they would be put on the property tax roll if they're not current by the end of August. And as you can see in the past, the little blue bars are the actual number of accounts that do get put on the tax roll. And you can see it's about a 20% response that we get from the notices and the bills that go out. prior to the county putting those on the tax roll. Be happy to answer any questions you have on this topic.
Any questions or comments from directors? Is there a motion? So moved. Item's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Abstentions? The motion carries unanimously. Any further communications? No. Seeing no further business and seeing no questions, this meeting's adjourned.